Hello and welcome to RGDS. It's me, Paul Driscoll, aka the Drisk, and joining me today is not my usual partner in crime, but he is a criminal retrobate. Yes, it's Jonathan Keane, aka Gotta Take Your Vitamins. So, John, how are you, matey?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How you been?
Yeah, really, really good. Yeah, just enjoying these games. And so, John, how are you, matey? Because it seems like forever since we last spoke to one another.
Hey, mate. Hope you're well. Yeah, been well, thanks. I think the last time we saw each other was when we did a podcast. Was
Yeah.
the 2D platformers? You know, it
Yeah,
feels like ages ago now.
It does, but I suppose it wasn't that far back. But that was a fun one, wasn't it? I really enjoyed that DOS episode. That's really, really cool. Yeah, we'll definitely have to do many spin-offs. But I'm so glad to have you back on here as well, you know, for another episode, because to our listeners, what we thought we'd do today was, because the Neo racing episode that we did was so popular, we thought we would do a Neo FPS episode. So these are basically modern FPS shooters, but they have the old school vibe of your Dooms and Duke Nukem 3Ds and Quake, to name but a few. And I know that's a genre that's dear to both of our hearts, isn't it, John?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely, like, it seems to me over the last, I'd say, 2 or 3 years, like the first person shooters, you've got your traditional ones, obviously, like, you know, your Battlefield and your Call of Duties, but it just seemed like a sub-genre of FPS is coming out now that are deliberately making games like Quakes, like Hexen, you know, like from the mid-90s, and doing fantastic jobs of them. And the ones we're going to talk about today, I think, are some of the best examples of those so far.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we gave it a real thought, didn't we, John, between us, and thought, well, what are these? You know, some people call them boomer shooters, or which I think is a bit of a misnomer, because it's not. I mean, a lot of them are fast paced and all about shooting, but you do get your retro inspired, where it's a bit slower pace, isn't it, on things, you know, and you know, Cultic is a good example of that, where it's got mixes in fast pace with slower pace. But you know, I love these. I mean, I absolutely adore these kind of shooters. But before we go into the show itself, let's catch up. I mean, what have you been up to retro wise since last we spoke, John?
Yeah, not been playing much retro stuff other than what we've done here, really, with these games. But I have picked up a game on the PS5 called Blasphemous 2, which is like a 2D platformer, very much in kind of the light of what we used to play when we were growing up, mate. I think if you've never played the first one and you like 2D platformers that are kind of like Dark Souls, I recommend you go for it. It's a really good game, yeah.
I mean, I own the first one, but for my shame, it's one of those I picked up in the sale, but I never got round to playing it yet.
It is so good. It's not for the faint-hearted though. It is a really, really, really tough game. But you like a challenge, right, Paul? You know, we were playing the 2D platform. You know, we're playing the 2D platformers from, you know, bloody Apogee the other day. They were just as hard in all the wrong ways. I think those games are just cheap, aren't they? You know, like cheap deaths and things like that. So, but yeah, that's what I've been really up to, really, game-wise. Yeah, what about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, for me, what have I been doing? So, well, one, I'm been looking forward to all these remasters that are coming along. I've been playing a lot of that Quake 2 remaster, which is awesome, isn't it? I mean, Night Dive Studios have done an amazing job of that Quake 2 remaster, haven't they? Have you been playing that at all, or?
No, I haven't, but I can download it on Game Pass for my Xbox Series X, and it does look amazing. It does look amazing.
Well, I mean, one of the things that's really cool, I mean, I don't know whether you've ever bought it in the past, but if you've bought Quake 2 on, like, Steam, for example, they upgrade it for free, which is awesome. So, I mean, I had it. So, I mean, because I'm old school when it comes to these sort of games. I can't do the controller. I've got to have, like, a mouse and keyboard, you know, WSAD and the mouse, and E to do action. That's me. They're the setup that I've been using.
I know. I try. The thing is, I work from a laptop, and don't get me wrong, it's a very good gaming laptop from about 3 or 4 years ago. But until I get like a dedicated PC and all that stuff, I just like the comfort of sitting in front of my telly. It's like 55-inch PS5, Xbox, and away you go. You know.
Oh yeah. I mean, it brings its whole host of problems, doesn't it? But I mean, to be honest, I've got my main gaming PC is in the main TV, which is because like you, I like that sitting on the sofa. I've got like a wireless keyboard and mouse, and that seems to work fine. I mean, I don't notice the lag or anything of a wireless. But of course, the downside with that is is usually I've got the missus or the family wanting to use the TV, so I've got to be very selective when I do my gameplay sessions. But I mean, one of the things, I mean, Night Dive Studios that did this Quake 2 remaster, I mean, they've done loads of other remasters as well, like they did the Blood and Forsaken and so many great of these old shooters that we loved and remembered. Like Exhumed was another one they did that was fantastic, and so I love the fact that they're just churning out more of these, and kudos to Microsoft, being really generous. Not only is it given on, well, not given, but on Game Pass, but also I thought that was a real nice touch. They did the same with Quake, that if you had ever bought it in the past on Steam, it's a free upgrade, and I think that's wonderful, because that always used to annoy me with Quake. When you bought it on Steam in the past, you had to use like third-party mods to get it playable. I always thought that was bang out of order in the past, with id Software, that they were selling a game that wouldn't work on anybody's typical PC. So it's nice that they finally addressed that after many years.
I think you're finding it a lot now with a lot of old developers now. I think they realise that there is definitely a market now for these older style games, and they're trying to get that audience back. Because let's be honest, with the modern day shooters, I mean, there isn't much choice. There isn't much options to choose from. Obviously, you've got your Battlefields, you've got your Call of Duties, but outside of that, I mean, I can't think of much else. There's definitely a huge market for those games now coming out, and I've definitely seen a lot more being released more than ever now. And these modern PCs and modern consoles, they can, give it all the bells and whistles with, better, slightly better graphics, I suppose, lighting, making it just not slow down, and it's definitely. I think we're going to see a lot more coming forward now.
Yeah. I mean, on that. What's it called? Is it gamer.com? What was the recent show in Germany? I can never remember what it's called.
Gamescom.
Gamescom. They announced quite a few, which is really, really cool. We'll give a mention at the honourable mention stage. But these are games that we won't have had time. Well, they're not out yet, but ones for our listeners to keep an eye out for. Yeah, did you see as well Night Dive Studios, talking of announcements, Night Dive Studios that did the Quake 2 remaster also announced in Gamescom Dark Forces remaster. They're doing a Dark Forces remaster, which I'm so excited for, because I adore Dark Forces, the first one.
That is the first game I brought where I had to upgrade my graphics card on my PC.
Yeah.
I remember those tiny PCs from back in the late 90s.
Yeah, no, I remember them.
So that was my first PC I brought, and it was awful. But I managed to take out the graphics card and put in like a dedicated GeForce. But it was so powerful, it kept crashing the system.
Overheating, I'm sure.
Yeah, pretty much. So that was my first time in 2003. I thought, well, I want to go and build my first PC, and that's what I've done. All because of Dark Forces, isn't it? Star Wars Dark Forces.
See, at this time, when Dark Forces came out and stuff like that, we were all like geeks at uni, me and my friends. So we all of our limited funds would go into upgrading to the latest, or just under the latest. You could never afford the latest of the latest, but 6 months old kind of kit. We always, had it where we could set all the settings up. But yeah, you're right. We always had that issue with overheating. In fact, I always remember there was one guy, also called Paul, actually, although he was lofty, because we called him Lofty because he was really tall. And this was doing a dissertation, and he upgraded, similar like to you, he upgraded like graphics card and things so he could play the latest games. And he had the problem that you had, where it was overheating. And bear in mind, he's in the middle of doing his dissertation, and he sort of like comes in and says, "My PC's just gone bang." And we looked at it, and what had happened, the idiot had only installed a fan by drilling a hole. So he'd not cleared out the kit, he'd not bothered to clear out the whole thing. So he just drilled with all the metal filings going all over his PC innards and installed this fan.
Wow.
And of course it fried it because you got these, joining up everything, all these like metal fillings.
You got these conductible materials all over his motherboard.
And bless him, it was like a week or so before he had to hand in his dissertation. I mean, he's done all right now, but it cost him grade-wise. He ended up with a third, bless him.
Wow.
But yeah, I felt for him. I did feel for him. Well, it was a mixture of feeling for him, but also wanting to hit him with something for being so stupid to drill a hole in your in your case and not think about the metal filings. But yeah, Night Dive Studio. Dark Forces Remastered. They're also doing a Turok 3, which I'll be honest, I've never ever played Turok 3.
No, I think I missed that boat. Yeah, I missed that boat because it was a Nintendo S64 thing for me. So I was a PS1 kid growing up. I missed that boat.
Yeah, I mean, I had Turok 1 and 2. You can get the remastered versions on PC, probably on Xbox and PS. Pretty much everywhere, I'm sure. But so you can play them today, which is a lot better than the N64, which struggled. But yeah, I never ever played Turok 3, so I'd be interested to see that. The other thing I just wanted to mention, just briefly, is one of our listeners had flagged it. There's an unofficial remaster that's been done by loads and loads of fans for TIE Fighter. It's called TIE Fighter Total Conversion. I'll put it in the show notes to our listeners. But, I mean, for those who never played, TIE Fighter was like a 3D space shooter, obviously set in the Star Wars universe, and you were controlling TIE Fighter. Fantastic storyline, really, really good missions. So to see a remaster of that, I'm dead excited for it. Did you ever play TIE Fighter or not?
I've got all the originals on my Steam, like X-Wing versus TIE Fighter.
Oh, yeah.
And I tried playing it about 2 or 3 years ago, and for the life of me, I just couldn't get my head around it.
It's difficult to go back to, isn't it? Because it was one of those, it was a proper flight sim in a lot of ways. It's not like your arcade shooting where you have to learn all the keys. There's a lot of keys and stuff, and reading manuals and all of that stuff.
Exactly, but going back to my youth, I used to love all those kind of games, like what's that game that's like, because there was definitely a spate of PC games that come out in like the early 2000s, just beyond Everspace and things like that.
Everspace,
yeah, because I love all those games, because you've got Everspace 2 out now, which looks fantastic. But the one I'm really looking forward to is Starfield.
Yeah, a lot of people. You see, I've come to the realization that I just can't play. It's not just I can't play it. I don't want to play open world. I struggle with same with like GTA and all of those. I just haven't got that mental capacity to play those sort of games, because I'm like, just when I'm getting into it is usually when I'm being told to get off the PC and give the TV back to the family. So yeah,
I know what you mean. I have to be in the right mood. I mean, I'm the same as you. I'm not a big fan of open. Other than God of War, I really enjoyed that, and the new Star Wars one looks pretty good. But even that's quite linear as well. Sometimes it is nice just to have a linear experience, and and sometimes I do love the Fallout 3 and New Vegas. To me, I adored those games to pieces.
Yeah,
so
amazing.
I love those games, and Bethesda, they make good games, so I'm going to give this one a go.
I know it's going to be amazing. I'm not taking anything away from the game. It's going to be awesome. But yeah, I think for me personally, my days of playing those kind of games are out the window. I just don't seem to have the time to play it. But maybe I will give it a go. I mean, it'll be on Game Pass and that, and stuff.
Find the time as well.
Well, that's it. Which is why I always get drawn more to like the sort of quick fix sort of gameplay. It's one of the things I've been loving with. I've been playing. I took the plunge, as I mentioned on last episode. I took the plunge of the lifetime license for Antstream on the Xbox. And I'm really enjoying it, and the main reason I'm really enjoying it is the challenges. It's just perfect for me. You know, you get like tournaments and challenges, and you just like dip in, have a quick go. It's usually how long can you survive on one life. Sometimes they're mixing in. I was playing on the tournament. There's Joe and Mac. You remember that game?
Yes, yeah, Caveman Ninja, isn't it?
Caveman Ninja, that's the one, yeah. And it was really, really cool, the challenge. Basically, again, it was how long you could live on one life for your score. But every time you lost that energy bar, i.e. got hit, your controls for 10 seconds gets reversed as well. So you got that challenge as well. So I just like how they sort of mix up these old games and give you these short like bursts, and it's really addictive to see where you are on the leaderboard. You know, like I'm 40th in, and you know the world of Ant Stream, at least I'm like 40th or
well, that's I mean that would be a reason why I would buy that. I mean, when I get a job that hopefully very soon, one of the things that I will get is that. So I love my challenges as well. Otherwise, it's what's the point sometimes, you know? I mean, you like to challenge yourself. So it's like the achievement system on the PlayStation and Xbox. Sometimes it is. I do think it can be detrimental when you only play for achievements and trophies. But sometimes, you know, some games are so good you just want to complete them 100%, and those challenges are good in that respect.
Although I hate it when it pops up, you're like in the middle of a game and something distracts you because it's telling you you've beaten an achievement, and you're like, and you die in a mess because it's popped up and sort of distracted you. But yeah, no, I get what you mean. I've never really got into like Xbox achievements or anything. I mean, they're nice when they pop up, but I never go seeking them. But yeah, really, really good. And just the other thing I just want to mention, obviously our YouTube channel still going, you know, it's still low numbers. People still, it's probably only 1% of the people that 1% are watching the video version compared to our audio listeners, which I totally get, because a lot of people like the ability to, like, you know, listen to our podcast while they're walking the dogs and things like that. But it's still quite cool. I mean, and one of the things I really, really like is that our listeners, like Dr. Goggles and some of the others like Blisky and Charlie, have been also uploading videos. You know, they've been giving me videos to upload of their gameplay, because I've always wanted that. I didn't want it where it was just me producing videos and content for people, but, you know, collectively everybody chipping in, and they've done some fantastic stuff. You know, I mean, Dr. Goggles has done some amazing PS1 gameplay, and Charlie's done a lot of racing stuff and cool stuff. Now Blisky's really gone above and beyond. He's done for letter A, and he's planning to go through the alphabet of Mega Drive, choosing his favourite game of each, and he's done like a full review and all the nuances and his thoughts as well. So yeah, really, really cool.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, I'll do that as well. I just got to figure out a way to capture the game, because I do play a lot of my gaming on the Xbox and PS5, and I do play a lot of retro games on there as well still. So if anyone listening to this podcast can suggest good ways to capture content, I'll happily post it to you know, the YouTube channel.
Well, I mean, however it's done. I mean, when I started doing some of the videos, and some of our listeners do this. Obviously, for retro stuff, you'll often find, even on most PCs for your you know, emulators and stuff, you'll probably find that there's a recording function on your PC. Or you can use. I use a recorder called Action, which is what I used before I discovered that you could. I had a graphics card that could do recording. Action, you can get a free version of that. Obviously, it will give like a note about it. But even, I think when I bought it, it was like only 20 quid one-time license kind of thing. So there's good ways there. But I mean, even holding up, I mean, Charlie, for my birthday, he bought me this gooseneck holder. That was quite cool, and you can angle the phone and just point it at the camera. But I mean, even before with Charlie, you just pile up some boxes and then put the phone on it, and just line it up, pointing at the camera. I mean, there's loads of. Doesn't matter how lo-fi it is. The only difficulty with doing that is, of course, and I know you got a little one, is it's amazing how quickly your family seem to gravitate and ruin the recording. Walking in front.
Well, that's why I've got two OLED TVs, mate. One in the living room, one in the spare room.
So just balance like the phone, set it recording, pointing at your TV. That's a good way, until you get your job. I mean, the thing I took the plunge with, it was about 120 quid, so it was a bit of a purchase. But I bought like a HD recorder box eventually. It's really cool. You just plug it into whatever you plug the HDMI cable, so like for my Xbox, into it. It goes into your PC, and you just set it recording on your PC, and then switch to your console that you're recording, and it just anything HDMI, it just records perfectly. Really, really good.
Well, I'm just looking online now, and it says that the PS5 can record an hour of gameplay in 4K to Twitch and YouTube. So what I'll do is I'll muck around with that and get the link, and I'll just send it straight to our YouTube channel, and you can have a look and use it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that'd be awesome. It would be great to see stuff from all of our, and that's to all of our community, not just you. If you want to do recordings, obviously we'll just veto it, just vet it just before we upload it, because we want to make we don't want to go to jail or anything like that. But if we're happy, and it's like retro themed, but whatever, as long as it's reasonably retro themed or retro inspired. I mean, I've recorded a lot of indie games, like you mentioned with Blasphemous 2. I've been recording a lot of some modern indie games that I think worthy of a shout out. So yeah, we're quite open with what goes on the channel, really. So that'd be awesome. The final thing I wanted to say as well, just before we go into the main show, is of course we got our meetup in Bury near Manchester. Of course, Arcade Club. It's where we usually house it, and it's going to be on Saturday the 14th of October. So most of us are travelling up rather ominously on Friday the 13th, me as well. And certainly a lot of us will be there, myself included, till Sunday the 15th. We usually make a whole weekend of it. And a lot of us stay in the Premier Inn in Bury, which is like walking distance away. So, to any of our listeners, if you want to meet up, I mean, we've done it a couple of years now, haven't we, John? And it's been a really nice meeting our listeners, and always, and of course the fellow hosts, because we don't get to see each other in the flesh because we're all over everywhere. So I'm really looking forward to it. Are you able to make this one, or a bit difficult with all going on?
No, I'll be there. I've already
fantastic.
I did try and go to the Premier Inn, but they were charging £150 a night, and I tried to book it months and months ago. Yeah. So I managed to find, or have used, the Airbnb, which is literally a 5-minute walk away from Arcade Club, and it's got everything you need in there. So Garen is bedding down with me, not literally, but we're going to be sharing an Airbnb. So I'll be coming up with Garen or meeting him at the Airbnb as early as possible. So I'll probably get there for around midday, I imagine, Saturday, and yeah, we will make a whole day of it.
Oh, fantastic! Oh, I'm glad you can make it. That's great. I thought with everything going on, you might have struggled a bit, but yeah, it'd be good. So, I really hope as well. If you've never been, you're a listener and you've never been to these events, you're more than welcome. I suggest look at the show notes. We have like a Discord link. That's probably the best way if you're planning to go, because we have a section dedicated to Arcade Club meetup this year, and that's where we can share information of how to get there and discuss. But it's there's no extra charge because it's an RGDS meetup. We just literally just pay Arcade Club, and it's just to have a venue to meet up. It's an awesome place. I mean, it's the biggest in Europe. It's all free-to-play arcade games, so it's worth it at that side alone. But it's just nice to see our listeners and catch up with people face to face. Anyway, I think I've talked enough about the preamble. Shall we go into the main show itself?
Yeah, I'm good to go. Absolutely, let's do it.
So, well, as I mentioned, we're doing FPS shooters that we recommend. They're modern FPS shooters in particular. So, Neo-Retro is the term that we hit on, but often called boomer shooters. And essentially, it's modern shooters created typically by small teams, not always, and they take the love letter that was FPS games, first-person shooters back in the day, and give it another sort of like retro-inspired into the modern world, often using similar sort of visuals. Now, I've got a question for you, John, because you obviously play quite a lot of modern FPS shooters as well, don't you? What do you think that's different between modern FPS shooters and these retro-inspired? What's changed with, say your latest Call of Duty or a game like that compared to, say, one of these games that we're talking about? What makes it retro-inspired in your view?
Well, the difference is like a lot of the modern games now are huge budgets, mate. They're huge budgets. They bring them out once a year, so they've got these massive set pieces. So it's like you're literally playing a film. So these new inspired, like you say, boomer shooters, it's just guns to the wall, serious Sam style, frantic firing. Like got that kind of like you said, that kind of look and that feel of the older shooters. But just like you said, these are small indie companies. They haven't got the budgets to push these huge set pieces and like ray tracing graphics and God knows what else. So when you tend to play these games, these older games or these newer games made to look older, it's just kind of like bullet hell, but FPS, like the Quakes and things like that.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's the bullet hell that I'm probably drawn to, because I get bored with, for me personally, with Call of Duty and stuff like that. I just, they do nothing for me. But, and that's just me. I mean, I know there are loads of people that yourself included, you really, really enjoy them. But I think I'm always been drawn to these boomer shooters, these neo-retro shooters, where it's just simple, over-the-top action. It's never going to get more complex than you need a key to open a door, typically. And it's just balls to the wall, loads of explosion, blood and guts everywhere, isn't it? Visceral, spraying the walls, and it's just fun. The emphasis is it's just about having fun. Whether I think Call of Duty and things like that is about an experience, isn't it? It's trying to recreate as closely as possible how it would be if you were a soldier doing these missions. Obviously with a few tweaks and things like that to allow you time to last, isn't it? But ultimately, it's not that same frantic. It's more of an experience, isn't it? I think that's what it is.
Yeah, different. I mean, you knocked it on the nail on the head yourself there. It's exactly what it is. Like, I mean, the Modern Warfare 2. I mean, I'm not a massive COD fan by any stretch of the imaginations. There are times when I can just play it without going playing it for months. But when you've got a few friends on there, it's more the multiplayer side to it to me. You get on there with a few mates and you have a laugh and you shoot people with all these exotic weapons. But the campaign, you play it once and you're pretty much done, because, like you said, it's like you're playing a movie. You know what's coming. I mean, don't get me wrong, they are done so well. Like the Modern Warfare 2 they brought out last year, October. Like the set pieces are insane. Like one of it, I think it was set in Amsterdam. Some of this, like the graphics are getting so good now. Like it looks, I mean, not real life. I mean, how long have we been saying that for? Oh, it looks lifelike, but they're getting to that point now where, like, I mean, I think the biggest problem is the NPCs they're not quite there yet. But the streets themselves, with the lighting and the way it looks. It's just getting insane now, like how good it's getting,
No, definitely. It'd be interesting once, you know, I mean, I know they've been touching their toe into AI, but I don't know if you've seen some of those indie things where they've been using ChatGPT to give like learning responses, both audio, but of course you could do that through the people you're fighting against, the bots as well. So it'd be interesting to see with new generations, do they go down that way? But I'm like you, I just like the balls to the wall, you know, these older school. It's about as complex as I want to get. Right, okay, so let's go on to our first game then, shall we?
Let's do it.
Yeah. So our first game is Prodeus. These are no particular order, it's just the order that we sort of hit on the list, isn't it? But Prodeus is a great one to start with. It's quite reasonably priced. On Steam it's like 20 quid, which I think is pretty well priced really. And it came out, it's quite a recent one, it came out in 2020. It's on most of your consoles. It's on Windows, Mac, and then of course it's on PlayStation 4, 5, and of course it's on Xbox One and the Series, and even Nintendo Switch, impressively. It's published by Humble Bundle Incorporated, and it's developed by Bounding Box Software Incorporated. Do you want to tell our listeners a little bit about what the game entails, and then I'll add into it as well?
Yeah, so this is the one I recommended, I think.
It was, yeah. I just made a note of that, actually. Yeah, this is one of yours. And a great suggestion.
Yeah, this was a very, very, very good game. It reminded me of like Quake a bit. A little bit like Quake, but what I really liked about it, you instantly get drawn back to when you're 15, 16 years old again, you know, playing those mid-90s shooters. Like, it's got all the mechanics are there, like the weapons, you know, you're using certain weapons in certain scenarios. But what I liked about it as well is that it's the map system, so you can finish each level and you can kind of choose the path you want to go. That is the only kind of exploration you can do within the game, which I quite liked. You know, I know I'm like you with certain FPSs like Doom and stuff. It's do one level, you go to another level. But this one, you can get the options to go to different maps and things like that. But it just had everything in there that I love about those old kind of shooters, with like finding secrets and, you know, like getting items in secret areas, and as soon as you go to get that secret item, you just swarmed by all these like monsters that come out of nowhere. There's no subtlety there. Yeah. But I loved it, absolutely loved it. I got it on Game Pass as well, which cost me nothing, obviously, then other than a subscription that you're paying each month.
Game Pass is amazing if you've got the time to. I mean, I actually, admittedly, I've stopped paying Game Pass just for a few months, for no other reason that I just wasn't using it because of time. But it's an amazing deal, isn't it? But no, I love this one. I mean, it's got very modern visuals in terms of, I mean, it's still got that retro vibe, but it's more sits on the retro feel of it, isn't it, rather than the visuals. The visuals are fantastic and look quite modern compared to some of the other ones. But I really, really adored this one. It plays, I would say out of all of them, it probably plays, it's got the most sort of like play mechanics is all there, isn't it? It's a lot more complexity compared to some of the others. You know, you're using the verticality and shooting things in the air and stuff like that. And I love the explosions of the characters, like absolute explosion of blood everywhere, isn't it? It's really, really over the top blood and guts, which is awesome. Yeah, no, I had a lot of time with it. I did find. Did you find it got a little bit samey visually? A little, you know.
Yeah, kind of like. It looked great, don't get me wrong, but like you said, what captured me about this is that as soon as you started playing it, it felt like a game from mid 90s, like late 90s. But the visuals alone, yeah, they look amazing. Like, kind of, how would you describe them? Kind of like steampunk-ish kind of look, but more polished. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, it just started looking, but you're having so much fun just blowing the shit out of things. You just don't care. And
Yeah.
The levels ain't too long. You know, it does get challenging though. It really does. Like, you really have to start selecting certain weapons for the job, as it were.
Oh, the level design.
There, you know.
Yeah, the level design is awesome. I mean, it's got real clever, well thought out level designs, which isn't surprising because the. Do you remember the Singularity game on the 360 PC?
Oh, why does it ring a bell? It does ring a bell.
Yeah. But anyway, Michael Vollier and Jason Mahika, I don't know how quite you say their names, but they were the principal people behind Singularity. And Jason Mahika's also worked on things like BioShock Infinite and like the fantastic DLC, and he's even worked on things like Call of Duty Black Ops and things. So these are sort of veteran first-person shooter creators, really, that using their knowledge and skill, but clearly it's a love letter to the games that they probably grew up with in the mid 90s, and that's what they wanted to do, which is wonderful to see. But I mean, I really couldn't fault this. I mean, the only slight negative for me was I just wish there was a bit more visual variety. The level design had variety, but after a bit it was like, oh, more orange and grey.
And browns.
And browns. Yeah. It's like, come on, mix it up a little bit, like, mix it up.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But it just plays.
Play is
so well.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I think probably the slight failing was on me, really, because I was trying to rattle through them. I was playing it for long sessions, each game in one sitting, because I knew I wouldn't have time to get back to it, and maybe that sort of coloured my view a little bit, because this is really meant to be played in sort of like short, do a couple of levels, go away, come back, do some more, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, those old games, like if you remember the games like Hexen and Doom, they had like 35, 40 levels, and these games are just like that. So like you said, you do 2 or 3 levels, you come back to it. I didn't finish this one, so maybe we're not giving enough justice with regards to, like, maybe the later levels have got more variety in the way it looks, so I could go back to it and play some more. But there's one game in this list that's really caught my attention, and we're going to get to it later, that I'm going to just smash the hell out of.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to be honest, all of these, I mean, I was beaming ear to ear. One of the things worth noting is the music as well of this game. It's done by Andrew Hulsholt. Now, he did things like Quake Champions, Rise of the Triad, but he also did the music to some of the games that we are going to cover, like Dusk and Medieval. He also bizarrely did Rogers, which is quite a fun 3D platformer as well. I don't know if you ever played that one, but yeah, I really like it. And one of the things that was interesting with Prodeus is that I was reading up, apparently the level editor is really, really good. So I bet there's a lot of legs on the on like playing some of the community maps and things like that. But yeah, no, awesome start. Any more you want to say on this one before we go into some of the others? Or
I didn't know about the level editor, but now, yeah, you mentioned it. Yeah, that's the thing that gives games like this like a bit more longevity. Because I remember when do you remember when they brought Doom out again for 2016?
Yeah.
Did you ever play that?
I did, although I did get bored of it a little bit.
Did you?
It was. I loved it. I loved it at the beginning, but then I just got a little bit bored as time went on.
But I remember in the first Doom, they had like a level editor as well, and all the community put up their own maps and stuff, and it was fantastic. It was so good. It makes a huge difference,
Yeah, I need to go back to it a little bit more. I think maybe I'll just. I mean, I absolutely adored it, but it was just after a while, just getting a little bit stuck on some of the levels and just sort of never carried on with it, really. But yeah, Doom was a great love letter to the earlier Dooms, wasn't it, and things like that. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, but I think an amazing price when you think like it's like 20 quid. I think that's such good value for this game. Okay, so shall we go on to the next game then? Because we've got lots to cover. So the next game this was one of my suggestions, and it's Cultic Chapter 1. Now, there is a free demo on Steam. I don't know if it's on the consoles as well. It has the demos, but it's only £8.50 to buy it, which I think is great value. Came out in October 2022, so quite recent. And it's done by a single developer, amazingly. The developer's called Jazz Oz Games, but basically it's just Jason Smith, one guy that basically had grown. You know, when he was 14 and 15, he was like playing games like Blood, Duke Nukem 3D, and games like that. Well, actually, I think he was even 10. I was reading a review. He was like just 10 years old when he was playing those, and you know, that was his childhood. So he's always wanted to do a love letter, and of course this is a love letter to the game Blood, really. I mean, it's just to explain it to those that perhaps aren't watching the video version. It's like Blood. You're up against sort of like cultic monks, isn't it? And you're just sort of like shooting and blasting your way through, sort of investigating these disappearances, and you start off, you've been killed and coming back from the grave, which is of course exactly the same as the Blood, of which it's heavily inspired in many ways. But I mean, the first thing is this has an amazing art style. It's sort of a grimy sort of art style to it all, and but it's got all the fun, frantic gameplay where it's very, very fluid. I love the fact that you can do like slides and things to dodge enemies. You know, as you're going towards them, you can sort of slide for a bit, come up, and the weapons are really sort of. There's nothing fantastical with the weapons. It's like shotguns. You start with a hatchet, and those, and it all feels like oldie weldy sort of in terms of like. You know, it feels like when you're firing the machine gun, it's about to fall apart. I mean, had you played this one before the show?
Not before you recommended it. I picked it up, and again, it's like going back in time to those older games. I have to say, before we start though, this has probably got the best headshot animation and sounds in any game I've ever played.
Yeah, I'd written in big capital letters "headshot baby" on my notes as well.
Honestly, it's insane. Like, it's so satisfying. It's got that punchy sound, you know, and it's like you said though, like it's got very very punchy weapons. Every time you fire the weapons, it makes a great sound. It's impactful, and the controls are fantastic as well.
I think it's really clever as well, isn't it? Like I mean, to use dynamite's quite difficult because you've got to light the dynamite first or throw it. And the amount of times I just panicked and threw dynamite. And I was just like, you know, no use, because it's obviously not lit, so it's not going to explode.
Yeah, it definitely got to time that right. But I just love the way you can, like, you use different weapons for, you know, for different parts of the game. So the sliding technique's great. If you've got a shotgun, you can just slide in shotgun. But then you've got a rifle for long distance shooting. You know, it definitely, and the controls are so fluid. Like, they really work well. Like, great selection of enemies as well for all. Like I said, you've got to choose the gun for the occasion. Like, you go into a room full of zombies, for example, right? You get out, you throw the dynamite in and let it do its job, you know. And yeah, definitely, I'm glad you recommended this one, because I'm going to go back to it and finish up on it.
Oh, it's got great settings, as I say. It all feels very horror themed, you know. It's got, yeah, I just love the visual style, and it just just it did bring back. I mean, Blood is one of my favourite first-person shooters. I always loved that one, and the trouble is the sequel, the official sequel, Blood, that was in the Quake engine, wasn't that good. So I've always been crying out for more Blood action. The game Blood, and this was exactly what I was looking for, really. And it's pretty, considering it says only chapter 1, it's a big game, really. There's a lot to it. I mean, I don't know what he's going to, it kept me going for a long, long time. Yeah, I love as well, like when you're going, it's never quite what I would call a horror game, but when you're going down, though, you can light your lighters, your Zippo lighter, and you're going down dark corridors, isn't it? It's kind of lighting the way, and you can only use you can't use your shotgun or a machine gun, you've got to use like a single hand weapon. I just think works so well. So well.
I mean, I haven't played it I've not played it to completion yet, but
no.
There's definitely elements in there where it's definitely got a lot more tactic in it than you think. You can't just go in there all guns blazing, because you'll end up just getting toast. So definitely choose a weapon for the occasion, be cautious, and make sure that dynamite's ready.
And it blows me away. I mean, this is the first time that this Jason Smith started even coding anything, not just to do with the game, was probably about 2015. He sort of played around with Game Maker and 2D stuff, and he only started working on this game in 2017, where he decided, to do what I want to do, I want to learn like Unity and C#, and to go from not knowing anything about even how to develop Unity or C# all the way to a fantastic game like this is just amazing, isn't it, really?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like I said, I think there's going to be a huge market for these kind of games soon as well. There's even, if you ever get a chance, there's another game called Devil Daggers as well that you should give a try. That's insane.
I've heard people mention that. Yeah, is that really good as well, is it?
It's just bonkers, mate. It's like basically how long can you survive for? Sometimes you go on the map and you survive for 10 seconds, and sometimes you get lucky and you're managing to survive for maybe 5 minutes, but it's only about £1 on Steam or something like that.
I think I have picked it up because it was someone who recommended, but it's having the time to play all these games, isn't it? They usually go on my backlog of shame, and I must go back to that one, because I've heard a few people mention this one, but that. But I mean, going back with this, I think I really like the art style, the griminess. Considering this is his first real game, I mean, obviously he's done like very homebrew stuff on Game Maker and stuff like that. I think he's done a stunning job. I mean, I love the outdoor sections, and I love how you get a mixture of outdoor sections, very claustrophobic. It's just really intuitively well designed levels. I felt very, very good. So I mean, this is one that I'm like you. I need to play it through to completion. I got very far on it, but I definitely want to go back to it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go back to this as well. This is I'll go back to all of them. I didn't finish all of them, but just to give myself a good feel about what they're all about.
And that's all we expect, isn't it? I mean, I think our listeners understand. Like we usually cover a lot of games, so we're never going to be able to complete all these games, because we've got a life, and it's a very quick turnaround of what we come out with the shows. So, but with playing it for a few hours, you get a real sense of
oh yeah, definitely. I mean, these are my back catalogue now, and unfortunately, I've got a bit more time on my hands than I want at the moment. So, don't worry, I'll get through these, and I will enjoy them definitely.
Yeah, no, they're awesome. But yeah, no, I'm glad you enjoyed this one. It's definitely a favourite of mine. So, right, okay, so we go on to our third game then.
Let's do it.
So for our third game, I've gone for Iron Fury. This is basically using a heavily modified build engine. So that's a Duke Nukem 3D engine. I mean, heavily modified. But it's wonderful. It only comes out, only costs £20.99 to buy full price, but often in the sale. And I just think Voidpoint LLC, it's published by 3D Realms, has done a fantastic game here. Really, really good. I mean, it's basically you're controlling a character called Shelly Bombshell Harrison, and she must take out the cyberpunk group of Dr. Jadis Heskell. And for those who perhaps don't know, this isn't her first game. She appeared in a game called Bombshell, which was a third-person action shooter. Not the greatest, to be honest. But this is basically Duke Nukem 3D love letter, but really dialing everything up to a factor of 11. You can get it on pretty much any platform: PC, Switch, Macintosh, Xbox, PS4, etc., and all of the goodies. And so however you sort of come to this, well worth playing. I think at the moment it's even on a sale, so you can pick it up for like £6 on a lot of the consoles, which is awesome. I mean, what did you think about this one? Is this new to you, or?
Yeah, again, like all these ones you recommended to me, like fresh off the blog. But yeah, I love this. Like you said, it's Duke Nukem turned up to like 1,000, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only complaint I'll have about this, and this is rare coming from me, I actually found some parts of it a little bit too tough.
Yeah. Well, mind you, what level were you playing on? Because it's totally different on each difficulty level. Do you know if you were playing the visceral? Or...
Yeah, it was basically the one after normal.
Yeah. So I mean, it ramps up really, really tough. Yeah, the top two difficulty levels. So there's an easy mode. I forget what they call that, but it is too easy on that. Normal's probably the best way to play, but it's quite misleading because it turns around on the mode that you're talking about, which is I think ultimate visceral. It turns around and says, for veteran FPS players, choose this mode. So I made the mistake, probably like you, was going into that to begin with and then getting my ass handed to me in a lot of the sections. It is full on. So you probably need to dial it down to probably normal level, the second difficulty to begin with. Depends on the sort of gameplay experience you want, though, isn't it? Some people like having that, like your Dark Souls, isn't it? Arse handed to you, but progress that a little bit further each time.
I mean, I love Dark Souls and Elden Ring and stuff, but I'm a big believer in letting people play the game how they want to play it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm never one of those snobs that are like, oh, you can only play it a certain way. You know, to play it as true enjoyment, you got to do it this way. And it's like, no, people play how they want to play. I'm the same with this as well. So maybe next time I'll dial it down just one more. Just so I'll get a better feel for it,
Yeah. I mean, I would say normal level is what most first-person shooters would call difficult. It really, it is kind of that way. But this is great. I love the quips of of Shelley. Because you're playing a female character. She's got some great one-liners. It brings you really into that Duke Nukem. One of the cool things, did you know the villain, the doctor that appears on some of the on like the TV screen, telling Shelley to give up and stuff like that. You know that character.
Well, like your typical villain that you get in all those old school
typical
games,
villain. I mean, it's a shame he was criminally underused, but that's actually John St. John's voice. So John St. John is the guy who did the Duke Nukem voice back in the day on Duke Nukem 3D. So it was a nice little nod, but I just wish they used him more. But I guess they used him as much as they could. But this has so many wonderful little nods. I mean, right at the beginning, isn't it? It's a great example. You've got Flynn Arcades, obviously a nod to Tron. You've got some arcade machines there of some of their older games. Many of the games we covered of 3D Realms, many of the old games we covered in our last show together with the 2D platformers, isn't it? So it's just nice, all these little nods and things, and there's so many like nods to obscure things like Commando and things like that. Just really, really cool. It's such a labour of love, you know. Even like a noodle shop or something just feels like it's been lifted out of Blade Runner. You know, they've really done a lot of care and love into their design of the levels.
It's just like a love letter to the gaming, isn't it?
No, I adore this. And it's got brilliant variety. But no, I just think it just plays brilliantly. I love the variety. It's got great weapons as well. You know, I quite enjoy. You got the crossbow and things like that. It is missing some of the bigger weapons and some of the imagination of, say, Duke Nukem. I wish there was like shrink rays and things like that. But that's the only real sort of criticism I can sort of give with this. I think it just so much fun. I mean, I was watching this from day one when it got developed. I'm so excited for this, you know, because it was like been decades since the build engine has ever been commercially utilised. So it was just awesome to see someone sort of take a modified version. And it just shows how versatile that engine was, you know, how, you know, it really holds up. I mean, obviously, it's a heavily, heavily modified build engine. I mean, this would not, you know, if you tried to run it on your PC that you had in the 90s that you were talking about, it definitely would melt with that graphics card back in the day.
Yeah, it'd blow it up. It would definitely blow it up, yeah.
But, I adore this one. Plays fantastic. I'm really excited as well. There's a DLC coming for it called Aftershock, and there's also a new sequel to the game coming out called Phantom Fury. I don't know if you seen the trailer for Phantom Fury.
No, I haven't. No.
Looks awesome. It's got riding a jet bike and things as well. So looks like they've really mixed up the levels. Because that's probably, I mean, if I only would give perhaps one con to it, perhaps more imagination with weapons. I kind of miss the like the shrink rays and some of the things you got with Duke Nukem. It's a small criticism really, but that's all I can say really. I mean, I thought the level design was good. For me, it didn't get old. Every level was something new and exciting, and I just thought it played. Yeah, fantastic. One that I would definitely recommend for people to pick up, particularly if you loved your Duke Nukem 3Ds and games like that back in the day.
Yeah, do you think after the controversy and travesty of them making that Duke Nukem game about 10 years ago, do you ever think they'll remaster all the Duke Nukem?
I hope so. I mean, if I would do like they did with Sonic. You know, when they gave with Sonic, where they gave it to like fans and they came out with that
Sonic Mania. Sonic Mania was fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. I would love if they gave the keys to like these developers, for example, and get them to do. And actually, just an aside, but it sort of keeps in with it. You know, Serious Sam games.
Yeah. Very fond of them.
Yeah. Well, Serious Sam 3 has a level designing tool that's sort of free with it, where you can actually create a whole variety of games. It's an amazing tool. And somebody in there has recreated the whole of Duke Nukem 3D, but with loads of extra sections, so it keeps it fresh as well. So, you know, it'd be the levels you remember and love, like the opening cinema and things, but there'll be a whole section that opens up that you have to go through before you go into the cinema with the key. That will go to like the Duke Nukem Burger Bar and things like that, and massive shootout with all the enemies. Honestly, it's totally free. I'm trying to remember what they call it. It's a Focus or something like that. I can't remember. I'll put it in the show notes what it is. But if you own Serious Sam 3, you'll be able to play this Duke Nukem. But when I was playing it, and I played it all the way through, my jaw was on the floor. It was such a perfect love letter. And I kept thinking at the time, if this fan game got released, they would make so much money, because it just was the perfect blend of the same levels that you knew and love, but doing expanding sections to make it keep you on your toes and keep it interesting as well. Yeah, I highly recommend that one. You will see, actually, if you want to see it in action, I'll put it in the show notes as well. But on our YouTube channel, I because I loved it as much, I recorded me playing through the first 3 levels. So yeah, so that's a great way.
Now, Serious Sam is, again, just mad fun, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It is. But I mean, this fan build engine that they included with it is so great. I mean, people have done ones based on Blade Runner and things like that. It really opens it up to not only the fantastic game of Serious Sam 3, but really opens up to a whole host of fan-developed games that are full games in their own right, because it allows you to string them together as a game. So, you know, and it's, yeah, mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. But yeah, if you get time, and same to our listeners, if you get time, I'll put in the show notes, have a watch of me playing through the first 3 levels of Duke Nukem. This remaster on Serious Sam 3. Amazing. The one thing I ought to mention as well, which really annoyed me, because did you know this game was Iron Fury was originally called Ion Maiden? No. So yeah, they were called Ion Maiden, so Ion as it is Iron Fury, but blimmin' Iron Maiden. They took grumpy exception and sent their lawyers after it and shut them down. And it's a bugbear of mine when it's like British rockers talking about anarchy and all of this, when they hide behind the skirts of lawyers to shut down indie developers. I mean, thankfully they just had to change the name, but there's too many of things like this where, and in my mind, like Ion Maiden isn't that close to Iron Maiden. I mean, it's not like they were pretending that they were Iron Maiden. It didn't have Eddie, for example, running around shooting or anything like that. That would be a bit too much if you were a zombie or something. But yeah, it just pissed me off. Just an aside, really.
That is unbelievable that Iron Maiden will actually send out an injunction to a small indie firm like that, though. That is insane.
Yeah, it just pissed me off when you got like all these like rock bands and things. I mean, Metallica are known to have done things like this as well, isn't it? And it's just like, for God's sake, you know, it's the fact they hide behind lawyers. You know, they hide under the skirts of lawyers to do their dirty work, because it just shows me that all they care about is money.
Yeah, of course, they are anarchy, you know, hate the system, but at the end of the day, they're just a part of it themselves, aren't they?
Yeah, well, not just part of it. They're leading the charge, isn't it? So, anyway, bugbear of mine. It pissed me off. But yeah, I mean, Iron Fury is a reasonable name. I don't mind it. Thankfully, they were at least able to come out with the game. It was a bit worrying, you know, because they were just indie developers. It was right at the beginning. It was a bit real risk that they were going to get shut down. Anyway, should we go on to the next game then?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's go on to the next game, and it's Dusk. This is only a £14.99 game, and it's a really interesting game, Dusk, isn't it? I'm going to pass it to you to mix things up. I mean, do you want to give a bit of description to Dusk to our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, of all the ones I played, out of the collection we have, this, to me, screamed Quake.
Yeah, it's very much a love letter. That's what they were going for. Yeah,
like, and even to the way you can change the graphics themselves to make it look as good or bad as you want. So you can make it extra pixelated, CRT scan lines, or you can make it the other way around. You can make it go good, and you can do ray tracing, all the bells and whistles. But the way the game felt, the way the polygons looked, just screamed Quake to me. Like bullet hell, very quick, snappy controls, things like that.
Yeah, no, it's good. And this came out in 2018. You can play it on Windows and Linux and Macintosh, but also it's recently, well, I say recently, in 2021 it came out on Nintendo Switch as well. So that's awesome that the console...
Oh, blimey. I'm surprised they didn't melt it, because there are some settings on there that you can literally like punch it up to the moon, or the other way around. You can, if you want that look, which I don't mind, that heavily pixelated look, you can go to option as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not bored. I mean, because I'm very much for this type of genre, I can't do controller. I have to have PC, so I only play these games on PC. But I mean, the videos I've seen of the Switch version looked pretty good, in fairness. But this one, I think is, you're right. It's a total love letter to Quake. It's got that awesome, great lighting effects, isn't it? And it's got really surreal landscapes that you can go through, taking out the enemies. I really enjoyed this. This is one of the first games that I personally came across of these sort of like quote unquote boomer shooters, where I was so excited to see these sort of games show themselves. It's got some great weapons as well, isn't it? You got those like hand scythes. You can slash the enemies and stuff, and it's lots of sort of religious symbolisms, isn't it? And you're up against some demons and things.
That's the one thing that grabbed me about this, was the religious overtones to it as well.
Yeah, which again I think is again doing that love letter of Quake, isn't it? You have that like morbid satisfaction of like shooting all the stained glass windows and things on the top, just in case there might be a secret. But also it's the excitement of seeing it all smash. And I love doors smash. Everything can be smashed in here. But it just has a really spooky vibe to this. I thought it played brilliant. It was great going back to it, because this was one that I'd played in 2018, which was a long time ago now, and loved it, and it was just wonderful going back to it, really. I mean, what was your thoughts with this one?
Yeah, like I said, I gelled this straight away, just because I think what's important with these kind of games is you can make a game look like the FPS of our childhood, as it were, because they are. But the most important thing is the controls have to be so tight and important for me.
Yeah.
Like you can't make it a slog to play these games, because it's just not nice. And the one thing that grabbed me about this one, because this is like bullet hell, Dusk. It's going off all the time. Enemies, bullets flying at you, plasma, everything. So you pick it up and the controls are snappy. You've got those lovely religious overtones, like you said. I just delved it straight out, and the fact that you can optimize it so well to just suit your needs perfectly. I love this one. This is another one I want to go back to, actually. Definitely go back to this one again.
No, yeah, I was like you, really. I just adored this one. I thought it played fantastic. One of the things I thought was also quite cool, you can buy Dusk 82 version. I don't know if you saw that on the Steam library, but basically, like the old overhead, not quite ASCII, but not far off. They've recreated Dusk to look like how the old Ultima games used to look.
Yeah,
it's like that, but they've recreated the whole Dusk game in that style as well, which you can buy separately. It just tickled me to see. It actually plays quite surprisingly well as well. It's quite good, but obviously it's not anything like the first-person shooter really, but it's got using the same level designs, but through 1982 visuals, which I just thought was quite cool. So I guess you say like a demake, really, to see it in that period. But yeah, no, like you, if you love Quake, I think this is a great. You want to experience more. This is great. It really is Quake, but it's got so much wonderful level designs and variety. I mean, this is one that, whereas some of the other games that we will talk about tonight, I got a little bit playing it in big sessions in one go. I got a little bit bored after a time. Whereas, visually in terms of board, everything looked too similar. But this one, I felt every level was doing something new and different. It was very cleverly designed. Whether you're going through like cornfields or caverns or some fantastic cathedrals or things like that, and it had so many nods and love letters to other games of that period as well that you sort of recognise as you play through. So this was new to you then. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and I know you say it's almost too frantic to get bored. It's like it's non-stop. I mean, that can get boring as well. Don't get me wrong, like where you're constantly on edge. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I played it for a good few hours, and it was non-stop bullet hell. Like that Quake feel all over again,
Yeah, and that's clearly what they were going for, and they achieved it in droves. It's nice to see these indie developers knocking it out the park like this, isn't it? Really, yeah, really, really good. Right, and interestingly, when we come to some of the other one of the other games, which is kind of using similar ideals, the new I'm going to say Amid-Evil. The guy that worked on this, David Szymanski, has done DLC for the new Amid-Evil, so it's great that he's also working with the other game as well that we're going to cover. Right, okay, so we'll go on to the next game then.
Let's do it.
So the next game is Forgive Me Father. This was your suggestion, and an awesome suggestion it was. To buy full price, it's £16.99. Came out in October 2021, and it's developed by a Polish developer, Byte Barrel, SPZOO, and published by 1C Entertainment. Now, this is only on Windows, which is a real shame that a lot of console gamers have not had the chance to experience this delight. But I'm going to pass it to you because this was your suggestion, and I'd love to hear your sort of like take with this.
I saw this game and it was being reviewed once on, I think it might have been IGN or Eurogamer, and they just said, like, if you're an old school type of FPS kind of guy or female, and you just love this kind of stuff, then get it. I played it and just loved the aesthetic very much. How do you describe the graphics? They're kind of like
it's horror cartoon, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of like
comic.
Comic book, kind of like, it's got like a Lovecraftian feel about it. That's the only way I can describe it. Like that kind of like religious overtones again. You got your two protagonists. One's a reporter, one's a priest, and they both have skill trees that they you can go down different paths. Like one of them, the priest is a lot more powerful after playing it. He's got spells, he's got prayers that can freeze enemies and blow them up, where the reporter's got almost the same type of skills except not as powerful. But you can go down different routes, like you can open up dual wielding pistols, you've got like your rocket launchers, You know, you got your rifles and stuff. But let me tell you, like, this game, out of all the ones on the list, this one was the hardest one by a country mile. It was so punishing. Like they shoot you from miles away. They come around. If you think you can recover around corners and get line of sight, no, they flank you. They go around. Like, yeah, it's no picnic. But I just loved it. I just enjoyed it. I thought it was a good game. Done very well. Just not hard. But if you like a challenge, then go for it. You know.
I mean, that was the thing, and apologies to people watching the video version, because on the video part of it, I got a reasonable way through, but I kept on dying, and then thought, I better stop recording because nobody wants to see see me do this section again and again and again. I was blown away when you suggested it, and I saw the visual style. It really is like a comic book. Sin City sprung to mind as well, but it's like that horror comic book, and it's just great explosions and things. So some of the bits, like the madness, didn't really affect things as I thought it would. I was expecting just really everything turns sort of like sepia white, doesn't it, when you go mad? Didn't really affect. I was hoping it would mix things up a bit more, but I can't fault it. I mean, the levels, the lighting, everything, it's just stunning. But my God, you're right, it is so tough. The amount of times I just kept on dying on one bit, it was just made me want to cry.
Yeah, it's a tough game, but enjoyable. Like, it makes you keep coming back. But I know what you mean about the madness. Thanks for bringing it back up again, because I completely forgot about it. But I think the madness, Mia, is attached to how often you can use your abilities. But the more enemies you kill, the higher your madness meter goes. So they're definitely going down that whole Lovecraftian that route. You know, like you're gonna. I was thinking, you go mad. You start seeing different things in the world. Like, there was a game years ago I loved called Bloodborne on the PS5, which had that ability in there. Like, the more mad you became, or the more eyes you saw or gathered, you started seeing different monsters in the game that weren't there before. Now, that would have been a cool mechanic in that. Like, the more mad you go, you start seeing things that weren't there before. But yeah, it was just underused, wasn't it? It wasn't. It just wasn't used that well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. Eternal Darkness, I think, is the best thing I've ever seen use madness. Do you ever play that on the GameCube?
I've heard good things, but I never played it.
Yeah, I mean, that's really messes with your head to the point where it makes you think your console's been switched off and stuff like that. I mean, that goes probably too far, but yeah.
Well, I remember they did that with Batman Arkham City or Asylum. Your screen glitches out, and it got me. I thought my Xbox had blew up. All my screen glitched out, and I switched it off, and I thought, hang on a minute. And it came back on again, and it did the same glitch thing. It was done so well, and then obviously it's all part of the story. Yeah,
the experience. Yeah, but no, I really, really enjoyed this one. This is one that I didn't get as far as I wanted to, just purely because of time, combined with it, as you say, it's punishingly difficult. I just kept on dying on the same part. I think the mistake though I made, it's interesting you saying, because I went for the journalist, and I was beginning to wonder whether I should have gone for the priest, and it sounds like I should have, really.
Yeah, I mean, the priest is so much more overpowered. But it's fun though. You play it and you get a feel for it, and it's all good. Yeah.
But I just fell in love with the visual style. It really, it felt like a Frank Miller comic coming to life, mixed in with H.P. Lovecraft. It just
that's the perfect description.
Yeah,
that's exactly, like Sin City kind of aesthetic with Lovecraftian kind of overtones.
Or some of his, or like Year One Batman. That same dark, grimy sort of feeling, but colourful. I mean, it's not the black and white of the Year One Batman and stuff like that. I just fantastic choice, and so glad. This is one that I definitely urge a lot of our listeners to play, because I certainly fell in love with it. But you're absolutely right. Expect a challenge. It doesn't handhold you, does it?
No, it doesn't.
And that's probably the only criticism I'd written on my notes, actually. The only con that I'd written was patchy balancing. There was just... You could tell it was an indie developer. There were just certain bits that perhaps needed to be ironed out a little bit. There was too many stupidly tough difficulty spikes thrown in, which might put people off. But stick with it. I think I'm certainly going back to it and sticking with it.
Yeah, definitely. That's the only criticism I have as well. Even the first level's pretty full on. You know, you go in there, you got no weapons, and these things come out of nowhere, and it's like, wow, this is not holding your hand.
Yeah, you're straight into the action. But I love all the... I'm not that I really read much of the clues and things, but I love all the little... you feel like you're investigating it as well. You know, that's where it feels like a H.P. Lovecraft, because you're reading up about things. But yeah, awesome game. Right, okay, so we go on to our next game then.
Let's do.
And this is our penultimate one. This is Medieval. It's another 2018 game. It did come out after Dusk, I believe. And it's also done by New Blood Interactive. So that's the same team that made Dusk, different developers and things. This is actually sort of developed by Indefatigable. I don't know how to say their name. But yeah, I mean, it's done by Leon Zawanda, who worked on Dusk and things like, and Rad Rogers and Bombshell, actually, incidentally, which was the first game that Ion Fury was based on. So yeah, there's lots of little connections in these sort of like games. But how do you describe a Medieval? Well, whereas it's kind of more Hexen, if you like those sort of games.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So whereas Dusk is a love letter to Quake, this is a love letter to games like Heretic and more Hexen, because of course that was like using the Quake engine as well. So this has like, you know, cool weapons like you have like an axe that eventually you can spin, can't you, and things like that. And
Yeah, like a boat propeller, basically.
yeah, well, when I was spinning it like a boat propeller, the thing I had in my head was, oh god, what's the Peter Jackson film where he picks up their lawnmower and he cuts up all the zombies? I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, its name escapes me, but it reminded me of that. I got to look it up now.
Yeah, I mean, I loved this. This was kind of like your dark fantasy, Hexen overtones. You know, this out of all the modern, out of all the games that have come out, the FPS boomer shooters, this was to me the best looking one out of all of them by country mile.
Yeah,
this was done on the Unreal 4 engine as well, so it's that modern, but it had a different feel from the other games. Where the other games were all like shotguns, rifles, you know, this was like melee weapons, like staves, like wands, axes, and you can upgrade all of them as well. They all get upgraded. You can all go down different paths with the upgrade options, and I love this. This is one I want to go back to again, definitely again. I mean, I actually probably think I'd do this one, and the game we're going to talk about last would be my two priorities.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. I mean, this one I absolutely love, and I'd played it before because obviously I was such a fan of Dusk that any game that was similar I was ready for, and yeah, this doesn't disappoint. It's got amazing level design and it just plays fantastically, and it's kind of nice having that where you're sort of like shooting a wand instead of a shotgun, even though it was really doing the same thing. But you know, when you're doing some of your magic attacks and you've got the fantastic lighting that of course the Unreal Engine can give, even though they've given it sort of a retro feel to it, but the lighting, they're using modern techniques, and it really makes it pop, doesn't it, as you're doing all the attacks and things. Yeah, no, this one I had a lot of time for, and it's kind of interesting as well. I was quite fascinated, really. There's a VR version of this game, and there's also DLC, the Black Labyrinth, which I really want to buy as well, because the main game's only £15.99. The DLC's £9.99. But as I mentioned, you've got the guy that designed all those fantastic levels on Dusk make the DLC as well. So it looks, I mean, if you look at the show notes, I've linked to the store page. The DLC, which I've not had time to play, looks equally epic. So I really want to get my teeth into that as well. But I'm like you. I want to play all of these games through to completion. I liked all the games. There wasn't a stinker for me. Every single one.
Yeah, there wasn't a stinker without a doubt. But like this one and the one we're going to talk about next, to me, get priority just because they're different. As in, this is like, you can buy this on the console and the next one as well, and it's just modernized and it still has that old feel. But I just think this one, it just rang true with me. Like, I loved Hexen growing up, and this is just like a love letter to that, like a modern day version of that. So I just love going around with an axe that can also be a boat propeller, killing things with it.
I know, but Brain Dead was the game, the film. I remember that now.
Oh, Brain Dead, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, with the
I kick ass for the Lord.
Fantastic. Oh, wasted childhood. I think this only came out on. I think you can only get it on the PC, isn't it? Medieval, unfortunately.
Is that right? Oh, that's a shame. I mean, I got it on my laptop, but I was thinking of.
It's a shame that these games, like they haven't released on the console. I might be wrong there, but I can't see any reference to the console. But yeah, I'm with you. Awesome game, really, really good. And I thought Leon Zawanda, who worked on this and things like did some of the level designs on Dusk, it's just did fantastic job here. This is everything that you want, isn't it? And there's 2 DLC packs. There's Ancient Alphas, came out in 2019, and this Black Labyrinth, which came out in 2023. And so I'm definitely realising that when I complete it, I'm definitely going to pick up those DLC as well, I think, because it looks awesome in the videos.
Yeah, treat yourself. Christmas is coming,
Well, I will do, but I keep having the guilt of my backlog of shame. Honestly, my backlog of shame.
Don't worry about that, mate. We all have.
I mean, coming to the game we're about to talk about, which is Warhammer 40k boltgun, because I love Warhammer, particularly 40k. I'm less so with the medieval stuff. So every time a 40k game comes up, I buy it, and I've got so many 40k games that it's shameful the amount I've actually never played or never got around to playing. And I really want to play them. It's just sitting down and say time is short, and we're spoiled little bunnies, aren't we? That's the trouble.
Have you seen the bring that Space Marine 2's coming out soon as well?
I'm ready to buy. I tell you, I really want to play it on console because I think it will run better. But yeah, I mean, I love the original Space Marine game. That was a 360 era, wasn't it? And obviously PC and PS3 and stuff. That was awesome. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing it, because I just love the universe of Warhammer 40k.
I'm starting to get into it now.
I mean, you were probably too cool as a teenager to be.
No, not really. I just wasn't exposed to it. I mean, I didn't give a shit about what people thought about my hobbies, or even then. But definitely now, like just looking at reading some of the books. I mean, how they haven't made this into like epic load of movies and TV series?
They are. I'm really excited. Oh God, who's the one who's Superman?
Is it Henry Cavill? Yeah,
Henry Cavill. Yeah, basically Henry Cavill when he left The Witcher, the last thing I've heard is he's going, because he's a really big, because he's British, isn't he?
Oh, he loves Warhammer, doesn't he? Like he's an uber
yeah,
like,
particularly
fan,
Warhammer 40k. He's an uber fan. And so he's pushing right now, and I think he's got quite far. He wants to basically treat it like the new Marvel, if you like.
Good idea, bloody good idea.
Do the universe. Well, there's so many great stories.
Well, look at what they've done with The Witcher, though. They totally, they absolutely destroyed that in the TV series, didn't they? I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what modern day TV are doing these days. They're just getting all our franchise of our childhood and absolutely just destroying them, aren't they?
I know.
Like, what are they doing?
Well, hopefully they'll come to learning. I mean, even that Ahsoka, which to be honest I didn't find that bad when I watched it. I thought it was all right, but people are so burned out on Star Wars, they won't even watch it.
The only thing about, I watched it as well, and it was just boring. It was plodding, and the only thing about Star Wars now is the fact they try and shoehorn so many like toxic politics into the films now. And no one cares about that. The whole reason why people watch TV or play video games is because exactly. Like the last thing they want is this message being rammed down their throats constantly. They're getting fed up of it, and it shows in the viewers. Like people are getting so fed up now. So hopefully, when like The Witcher 3, the last series was abysmal. So I'm hoping when they do Warhammer, he does it justice, because the one thing about Henry Cavill is that the reason why he left The Witcher, because they just wasn't sticking to the source material, and he said, look, I can't work with this. You're just changing it to suit your needs now, and this is not what The Witcher is, basically. And it's true, because I watched the last series and it wasn't good. It really wasn't good. So,
and that's the thing with Henry Cavill, isn't it? Is he's definitely a man of passion with things. He truly wants to recreate, and that's why I think like with Warhammer 40k, I think he stands more chance of being a success and keeping it true to the source material, because it's predominantly a British developed, although it's recognised around the world. It's sort of British developed thing.
It's on Amazon as well. I'm looking on here now. It says it's a quick Google search. It said it's on Amazon, the show. Amazon made a huge plop of that. The only thing about Amazon is they did the Rings of Power, which was diabolical.
That was awful. Yeah,
awful. I mean, I don't think they could. I mean, that's what I mean right now. They got this writer's strike on, and I'm like, well, what have you written in the last few years that we can say that is really good? Because if you look at all the franchises, if you look at all the Marvel films coming out, DC films coming out, and everything else, they've not been good quality content. I mean, I watched that Secret Invasion recently. God, that was so
terrible.
Bad.
Yeah, no,
it was so bad.
I'm to the point now where I've just given up on Disney Plus. I've cancelled it. The Secret Invasion was my point of cancellation. I just thought
it's just like they forgot how to write TV series now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's going on.
I don't understand how you can make an alien invasion, which has such great comic book source material, into a boring show. I don't know how they did it, but
honestly, we can go on all day about this. But the biggest one for me is obviously, I hope our listeners enjoy this little rant we're having, because it does allude.
They love our
It does segue into what we're doing next, but. The thing about even Star Wars, it's like, what's her name, Kathleen Kennedy, she kind of, they had a whole rich history of the books, the games that she could pull from to use in the TV series and the films, and they just literally didn't do it. She had one opportunity to put Han, Luke and Leia in one film together, and they didn't do it. They squandered it, and then they just made it a little bit too politically driven, and it's like, right, you just destroyed the franchise now. No one's going to watch this.
I don't understand how she's still employed. She must have, like, ironclad contract or something.
I don't know. Maybe she's got some film footage or someone, Bob Iger or Dave Filoni or something. I don't know. Because that Jon Favreau, he did series 1 and 2 of Mandalorian, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, he had some weak episodes, but overall it was really good. And then season 3 come out of Mandalorian. That was really bad. That was really bad. Yeah. But here we go with our rants, mate. I'm sure when we go to Arcade Club with everyone, we're going to sit down and put the world to rights.
We'll put the world to rights, have a few beers. And,
yeah, I can't wait.
All right, well, let's go back to the game itself. So this is our final game, apart from some honourable mentions, and it is Warhammer 40k boltgun. It's only £18.99. This is on all the consoles as well. By the way, the prices I'm quoting is the PC price, but I imagine it's similar ballpark.
Yeah, I've got this for $16.99 on my PS5. So yeah, it's just I like controllers, mate, and I've got a nice big telly. So
well, I've got my PC into the big telly, so I've got that side, but I just need the keyboard and mouse on a first person. I just can't.
Fair enough.
I'm a headless chicken if I try and do controller. So this came out in 2023, and it's done by Warlock Digital Limited. I think that's how you pronounce it, AUROCH. Now, they're probably better known of doing card desk games, to be honest. Those sort of like card builder games, virtual card builder games. So it's not really things... A boomer shooter is not the sort of thing that they typically do. But they did decide to do it, and it's absolute genius, I think, because basically a lot of people that love boomer shooters and that age bracket are going to love Warhammer 40k, because it's that sort of age bracket that tends to love it, and it's just nice having that mixture. It's got this really pixelated, beautiful look to all the things. You're a space marine, aren't you? Which is like, for those who don't know 40k at all, they're like the elite warrior divisions. So they have like big space suits and bolt guns, and they can take out some real carnage.
Well, like I said, I've only started getting into this, but from my impression, they've been specially bred to be these like walking tanks, basically. Like they've got 6 hearts, they can take damage. They've got these you got different chapters within. You got like this Ultramarines. You got there's so many. I can't I'm only just getting into it now. Yeah, but it really captured what a space marine is in this game. It really did this so well.
I mean, if ever people want to know like the lore of sort of changing into a space marine, there's a fantastic book by William King called Space Wolves, which is like one division. One sort of like group of because you have Ultramarines and Blood Angels and things like that, but that's fantastic because it goes right from the story of somebody becoming a space marine. But yeah, I know it's sort of fiction, but it's well realised, and that's why I think it's such a great idea, because you've literally got like almost 40 years of history and experience and designs of enemies and things to pull off. So and for the most part, I thought it did a really fantastic job. It focuses only on the Chaos Xenos, so you get like demon characters and you get a few like demon, like even more super warriors. So that you not just Chaos Space Marines, but you're
Chaos,
So some of the God, I can't think of the name, but like they're bigger Space Marines. But this is great. I mean, it's over the top gore. You've got fantastic weapons. You can fire your bolt guns, and you can upgrade your gun to do fantastic weaponry. But you also get, you can do melee attack by just charging at your enemy and using your chainsaw to cut in, and you can bash the button to kill them quicker. And it's got awesome blood everywhere, over the top action. But it just, for me, was the extra thing is seeing the realised world of this Warhammer 40k universe as well, and little things like seeing Nurgles, which are like little demon things come at you and things like that. Just awesome. Awesome.
It just literally like how you envision them to be in the world is exactly what it is. Like even the quips that, because I loved the Warhammer games like of the what was the RTS ones they brought out about 15 years ago.
Oh yeah, like Dawn of War, isn't it?
Yeah, so I played all the Dawns of War and I loved them to it. Like the Terminator squads and. You know what? I need to go play it again. I didn't like the third one. The second one was fantastic.
Yeah, the third one they lost away, didn't they? The second one.
Yeah, was good, I just love it. Like, you know, all the quips like "Beware the mutants," "the alien," "the heretic," and as you're playing the game, he's actually for the Emperor, and it's like he's just going forward like this unstoppable walking death on legs, basically.
And this is it. Is it? You know, it actually suits my sort of play style. Because you're a space marine and you're hard as hell, there's no need to do like the quick sort of like diving out the way or anything like that. So you can usually you feel like Robocop, isn't it? You're just stomping your way and can take a few hits and just blast out the enemies. It's quite satisfying in that way.
Well, the good thing about Space Marine 2, which looks unbelievable, it's going to be cross-play, Drisk. So you get it on your PC, I get it on PS5, and we can take down the scum of the universe together. How does that sound?
That sounds awesome. Now I'll probably with Space Marine 2 though, I'm going to pick it up on Xbox. So hopefully it'll be cross-play, wouldn't it?
I think it is. If it isn't, I'll just get it on the Xbox then, and then I've got the PS5 and a Series X, mate.
Yeah, I can't justify getting a PS5 as well.
No, I had a half decent job last year, so I was just like, I'll treat myself to both of them.
Yeah, well, you love it, so why not?
Yeah, exactly. I haven't got many hobbies. Like gaming is one of them. That's about it, really. So you know.
And once you've done the purchase, it's a pretty cheap hobby, really, isn't it?
Yeah, literally, I just play. Just to let you guys know, on CD keys, boltgun is literally $12.99.
Oh, that's awesome. For which platform? PC?
PC and Xbox version is $13.99. So you've got no excuses now.
Yeah, because it is a fantastic price. I mean, it's the only slight criticism, and it's not really a criticism, but probably more how I played it, because I played it in one marathon session rather than because I just didn't have time to do it as I normally would play, where I would like take chunks, gaps in between levels. I did find it got a little bit samey as time went on. I also was a bit ashamed because I love Space Orcs. I wish it wasn't just on like the chaos side of things. It'd be nice to have a few orcs to go up against and stuff.
Yeah, I know. But the thing about these kind of games, I mean, we said this for a few games down in the list. They do after a while get samey, just because
it's the nature of the game.
The nature of the game, exactly. So, like you said before, Drisky, it's just get in there, play it for an hour, dip out, dip in, dip out, as it were.
And that's the way to play. I mean, for this is like I literally had like the girls were out for a day, and pretty much I got up at the crack of dawn, kind of thing. I knew they wouldn't be back until like, including Mira, like late evening, sort of like nearly midnight. So I had a whole day of where I just played these games. So I gave each one like a good few hours each, kind of thing. More so on the ones that were new to me, and that's not how I would normally play it. I would probably just concentrate on the one, take a little break, move on, kind of thing. So yeah. But this, I really, really enjoyed it. It's got great weaponry. It feels fantastic. The story, I mean, you can. It's irrelevant, really. You don't really need to know with the story. But the thing I really liked with it is how it recreated some of the Warhammer 40k universe. There was clearly people that knew a lot about the world and took the effort, despite the slightly it's pixelated, but it's beautiful graphics nevertheless, isn't it? It's well.
Oh, mate, pixel art is making, or pixelized games, they're making a huge comeback now. Like, if they have been for a while, hence the FPS. Boomer games. It's like if you look at the 16-bit era of Mega Drive and Super Nintendo, Amiga, whatever, those games still hold up so well now because it's all 2D games, pixels, and they just look beautiful. Whereas you look at some of the earlier games of the PS1, for example, like the first kind of polygon games, yeah, they have their charm, but some of them have aged terribly. Whereas the 16-bit era, man, I'm telling you, they still hold up so well now. And there's a reason for it, you know, like, and that's the reason why a lot more games now, you know, that's why I'm still playing games like Blasphemous 2 on my PS5. You know, there's a reason for that.
It's true, yeah. I mean, I'm that's why, you know, I'm the same. I play mostly with these indie games, really. Okay, any more you want to say about Warhammer 40k?
No, just go play it. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Right, okay, so should we go on to some honourable mentions?
Yeah. What one have you got?
Oh, I've done quite a few actually, but I'll probably just maybe, rather than go too many of them, I'll just put a lot of them in our show notes. But one that I really want to get is Turbo Overkill.
Yeah, that's the one I had as well.
What do you want to say about it then, as you had it? Because this does have a demo on the PC at least, where people can play the demo and give it a try.
Yeah, I mean, what's to say about it really? It just looks absolutely beautiful, doesn't it?
Yeah, all done by Apogee. I mean, it's not out yet.
It looks absolutely
beautiful.
beautiful.
You can buy it now. It is out now. Yeah.
Yeah, it is out now. Yeah.
So it's £20.99, which is a good price. It looks stunning, doesn't it? It plays. It looks like the visual style of Prodeus meets Iron Fury.
You're gonna need a half decent PC to run it because it's taxing. It looks taxing, but it's just got a lovely gritty look about it as well. Like really, you know, it's
cyberpunk world, isn't it?
It's Apogee. Is it Apogee? That's what it's.
Yeah. So it's Apogee Entertainment are publishers.
It looks. It's got the appeal of an old school shooter, but it's got like mechs. It's got cars. It's got sled you can use, and it's got a beautiful kind of like neon look to it as well. Not like the colours.
Blade Runner
like
sort of feel.
Yeah. It's gonna. This could be. I mean, it's on the PC already, but I want to see this out on the, you know, my beloved consoles. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, well, I'm going to buy it and I noticed they're giving 20% off on the bundle, so you can get Turbo Overkill and the first Blake Stone game, which, to be honest, you can buy on GOG for a couple of quid. It's not a big deal.
It's coming. It's coming soon to consoles. I just googled it now, so you know I can wait though. I've got so many games to go through now. So
well, you've got the games we covered tonight. I mean, that will keep us going for a bit, isn't it? But on PC for those who are part of the PC Master Race, it's £18.14, which also includes Blake Stone. So that's cheaper than buying Turbo Overkill by its own. So it's peanut prices. I think on payday I might succumb, which payday for me is like literally in 2 days' time.
Treat yourself, mate.
Yeah.
I treat myself to Blasphemous for my payday. So yeah, treat yourself.
It's awesome. No, anyway, I mean that's one. But you're absolutely right. There's so many amazing games out there. There was so many that got shouted out on Gamescom, like. There's like Beyond Sunset and things like that, and Calm looks amazing as well. All of these, you know, trying to recreate that feeling. Project Warlock 2 looks amazing, giving more RPG elements and a fantastic art style. But I think what I'll do is, rather than just bombard, because none of these games that we're shouting out are ones that we've actually played. It's just, and a lot of them aren't even released yet. So what I'll do is I'll put it in the show notes, and on the video I'll do like a medley of the adverts at the end of these games to give you an idea of some fantastic ones that are out there. So,
good idea.
So John, final thoughts then. You know, why do you think these boomer shooters are finding such popularity? Because not just with us old gamers, it seems to be finding popularity with young uns as well that don't remember these games back in the day.
I think it's every time these games are done, it's with a lot of love. Plus, they're not overly expensive either. You can normally buy most of these for like £20 a go, 20 quid, 15 quid. Because like I said before, most of these games that you get now, like Call of Duties and stuff, they're like 70 quid, 80 quid a pop, you know, and some people haven't got that kind of money no more. I mean,
I can't. There's no way you're going to get, maybe with Space Marine.
Yeah, it's like, it's just so expensive now. That's why I bought Game Pass, because you can just, it's 10 quid a month. You can play the games and then stop playing them. But one, these games are good fun. Two, they look amazing. They're fun to play. And there's so many different genres that within this new kind of subset now that you like, you know, that you can, that would entice you. Just go for it. And yeah, I think they're going to go from strength to strength. I think that there's going to be a lot more, and I'm happy to see a lot of these indie companies coming out now and competing against these big studios, because it just seems to me now like the big studios seem to be taking over everything. It's like development cycles of a year, like these games cost like nearly £1 billion to make, and it's like, oh god, can't you just make like a nice easy game to play that we can all kind of gravitate to, you know. It's almost like the same thing with films as well. Look at all these films now coming out. That's why they're flopping, because they're too expensive. I mean, what happens if the new Call of Duty comes out and it's awful? They're going to lose so much money.
That's it. You know? Just not well. They will survive because Xbox will have to pick up the tab, isn't it? But you're right. It's just so much risk with it all. But that's the thing. I'll be honest. For me, like AAA space, not taking away from anybody that loves their AAA games or anything. It's just I think I haven't got, as I mentioned, I haven't got the time for like the open world and the long learning times and things like that. And that's why I'm quite happy with like indie games. You know, I picked up that Beach Buggy Racing 2, which is like for me better than even Mario Kart. Fantastic chill music and just chilling my way through it. You know what I mean? It's like, that's all I want from gaming these days. Just that immediacy and just all about fun, which indie games give, isn't it? Whether a lot of the AAA, it's less about that. It's more about experience and story and things that I don't really give a shit about, if I'm honest.
Well, and the thing is as well is that it's cheap enough that you can take a punt on it as well.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many amazing sales. That's one thing I've started to try and do. I did the first video of I wanted to like shout out some of the sales that was, you know, across all the stores, and it really blew me away. You know, when you start looking, I'm going to do another one. We're almost back to the days of those budget label pocket money prices, you know, like $1.99, $2.99. You know, if you know where to look, these are amazing indie games that you can just pick up for literally a couple of quid. It's insane, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, is there any other thoughts you want to give before we wrap things up?
No, mate, I think we've been pretty conclusive with everything we've done today. Yeah, good work.
Yeah, so, you know, to our listeners, you know, as always, you know, reach out to us on Discord or any way that you want to, or if you're watching the video, you know, please like, comment and like if you do like it, obviously. But just reach out to us. We'd love to know, you know, are any of these games new to you? Did you try them, or your opinions and your thoughts, or even better, suggestions you think, you know, that we didn't cover that you wanted to shout out, because, you know, we're not infallible, and we always love to hear like new game experiences and new discoveries. So it'd be awesome to hear new games to try. Always keen on that.
Yeah, definitely. Give us all your suggestions, guys, please. Yeah.
So fantastic, boys and girls. Hope you enjoyed, and well, until next time, keep it retro.
All right. Take care, guys. See you later. Bye bye.